Hello, everyone across the globe. Welcome to BlockDown 2020 panel discussions, the post-COVID-19 crypto space in Asia. I'm Amber Shook, co-founder of Zebra Global. We are a highly selected blockchain PR agency specializing in the Chinese and Japanese market. So we just had an excellent fireside chat, and now we're here with some of the biggest movers in the decentralized movement in Asia. Please welcome Sam, founder and CEO of FTX, Jose, CEO of Telegraph Japan, Kevin, CEO of VeChain, and Nick, head of partnerships of Nikkei. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us,
Amber.
So please tell us about your nature of work. What makes you and your business stand out from the crowd in one sentence?
Yeah, and I think that, we're a crypto derivatives exchange, and I think that probably the most notable thing about us is, how hard we are working to bring new innovative products to the space, try and push it forward. We're not just trying to copy what's been done before, but really bring the products that customers want to them.
Awesome. Kevin, do you want to go next?
Yes, at VeChain, we actually focus a lot on the enterprise solutions that deliver real business value, and we are probably one of the few public blockchain that's actually have adoption from Fortune 100 enterprises. So we work with a lot of partners like PwC, DNVGL, Deloitte, who can bring us enterprise client resources. We believe that public blockchain is ideal platform for the enterprise solutions.
Great, thank you, Kevin. What about you, Jose?
Hi, so by way of introduction, I run Telegraph Japan. And Telegraph Japan is the Japanese edition of the Cointelegraph.com, which is the top global media for digital currency, blockchain, and Web3. And I also run a global digital marketing agency based out of Tokyo. And we provide content production services to leading Japanese corporations, media companies, and multinationals.
Great. And Nick?
Hey there. Thanks for having me. Nikkei is like a large media institution, one of the largest globally. So we are maybe stand out a bit here, but full disclosure, I'm currently on a sabbatical in Europe, but I was leading the partnership efforts for what we call the editorial innovation bureau. But for the purposes of this, we organized a lot of conferences as well, among others, in Tokyo and elsewhere, with a topic on blockchain and crypto, among others, and then also in partnership with the regulatory agencies. So which I think it was a great step for the market to realize what's happening when a large media company and the regulator come together. Right?
Great, thanks for the introduction. So let's get right into it. The uncertainties surrounding the evolution of the coronavirus and its impacts on the global economy are gripping. So well before COVID-19 arrived on the scene, digital assets have become a slowly maturing niche. So how do you think has the COVID-19 outbreak affected the crypto market in China and Japan in particular? And how have each one of you adjusted your businesses in the face of the crisis?
Yeah, I happy to start. I think the first thing we're saying is that it's affected the crypto industry a lot less than many industries. And I think the most notable thing about it is the extent to which it hasn't changed the industry. Compared to a lot of industries where they're just canceled, like they just aren't happening right now. And, they're sort of like, I don't know, sometime maybe late this year, they'll come back. Crypto is entirely online. There's no sort of physical contact necessary for it. And so it sort of kept going. To the extent that it has had an impact, obviously things that impact the entire world's economy will impact crypto as well. And, I think especially right after the crash, a lot of people just had a lot less money, kind of everyone did. And the world's money just went, value just went down by 30% or something. And then also sort of the the crash on March 12th had pretty lasting impacts on risk assessment in crypto. And I think a lot of people had to rethink, how they were managing their books.
Thank you, Sam. Kevin, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree that definitely the COVID-19 has, we have already seen that it has less impact on the crypto market comparing with the traditional financial market. But I would like to talk a little bit on the business side because we work with a lot of enterprises. So, and China was actually the country that was first hit by the COVID-19. So at that time, obviously the city was closing down because we work with a lot of enterprises. So some of the projects, because the clients are not working, so meetings were canceled. And also blockchain is mostly treated as innovative project for those enterprises. So under those circumstances, usually the innovation is now low priority for enterprises. So there is definitely a negative impact on the business, but actually on the bright side is this COVID-19 situation actually accelerated the digitization process for the enterprises. Now they all are very aware of the importance of digitization, and blockchain is definitely a very critical part of the digitization because it brings the trust. A trust element into the digitization process. So we leverage the period of time during the COVID-19 to really focus on polishing our product. So and now I think we are seeing the benefits because as we are recovering from the COVID-19, the enterprises are actively looking at digitization solutions, also blockchain solutions. Now we actually got a lot of opportunity and projects implemented in the recent month or two. So there's definitely a lot of challenge, but actually also bring a lot of opportunities.
Thank you, Kevin. As someone who works heavily in the Chinese market, I think overall the pandemic hasn't really hindered the development of the Chinese blockchain industry much. And BSN network is continuing to progress and expected to reduce the cost of doing blockchain-based businesses in China by 80% by end of 2020. So that's really great for China. So Jose, do you want to tell us about Japan?
Sure. I actually want to ask a question to Kevin. I haven't met Kevin for a long time. I met you, I think, in person about a year ago.
In Shanghai last time.
Right, in Shanghai. Right. And so basically, I just want to know if there's a specific case of Chinese companies or enterprises coming to you, after the COVID-19 situations, really started to get serious in China. Like, are there any companies that come to you, whether it's a state-owned companies or private Chinese companies, they come to you saying, oh, look, the digital transformation using blockchain is critical. Anything we can do with you, VChain?
Yeah, actually, one of the heavy focus is definitely food safety because of the coronavirus. All those consumers want more transparency on the food supply chain, and they want to know all the things about the food they are getting. So on that side, actually, we got those opportunities from both state-owned company, also as well as multinational company. The project we have been working on the Walmart China case, they actually expanded the scope to their iconic Sam's Club products. So which actually shows the confidence in this digitization solutions. So yeah, food safety is definitely heavy focus, and also our partner DMVGL, they launched the My Care service, which actually focused on the certification of the disinfection process for different kinds of accommodation, hotels, cruise, to prove to the consumer that these places are handled in a very professional way to make sure it's not infected by virus, to give the confidence to the consumers.
I think that's very interesting. Are these demands coming from the private sectors or public sectors?
Both. Actually both.
Okay. I think the situation is very, very similar in Japan, where I think the government's really started to slowly realize that digital transformation in administrative processes in Japan is critical. I think in terms of the private companies, also the DX, so-called DX, digital transformation has suddenly become a very hot word as well. I think there are companies that have been raising a massive amount of money, on their DX ventures. So I think both from the public sectors and private sectors, I think there's an increasing level of interest in digital transformation, and COVID-19 really is the one accelerating the process in Japan also.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Jose. Nick, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit here. I think, the crypto industry maybe is not hit that hard, but it's still to see. I'm noticing some of the industries are obviously the conference industry, as we are now talking online. But then some industries like advertising, and especially large advertising, is getting hit really hard now as the clients are starting to basically pull out of the project. So it took a bit of a lag of like 3 to 6 months. So I'm just saying it's uncertain. We're still here to see. But however, that's definitely an opportunity for crypto because of all the aspects of crypto itself. But then the overall crisis, I think, as every crisis, will act as a great filter. So basically, what's quality will stay, and then what's not will disappear sooner than it would if it wasn't for the crisis. So that's my opinion. So overall, kind of positive, I guess, but still kind of wary and wait to see what's going to happen.
Right. So this unparalleled job market difficulties, are the media giving more or less space to crypto and decentralized finance?
Yeah, so good question. No, I don't think so. There's been some attempts, but overall not. I think the timing was off. I think if this pandemic happened somehow a few years back, then it would maybe be a huge acceleration to the overall thing. But since the bust, now there's like a bit of a cooling off period. So I don't know. Well, I don't think actually it did. It should have maybe, but I don't think it did.
Interesting. Jose, do you agree?
Right. The amount of media coverage on crypto and blockchain hasn't necessarily changed in the wake of COVID-19, I think. I mean, we are the one always focusing on crypto, so I can't really, take ourselves as a benchmark. But if you take Nikkei or other prominent, media publications, I don't think I have seen any different level of media coverage on crypto. If anything, they're covering companies that have been, testing or experimenting with blockchain, or, as I said earlier, fundraising themed upon, digital transformation, blockchain implementation, things like that. But overall, I don't see media, specifically talking about Bitcoin, about means to counter inflation, things like that. I think that narrative isn't particularly sunk in with the Japanese mainstream media. So my answer is that it hasn't really changed.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for Japan. So Bitcoin and other currencies have bounced up and down since the pandemic started. And interestingly, the pandemic has highlighted the fragilities in the traditional financial market. And we are seeing inflation of traditional money, decrease of interest rates of traditional assets, and greater control of the levers of the economy by authorities. The price crashes following coronavirus brought exchanges record volumes, and people seem to be shifting their attitudes toward cryptocurrencies. So Sam, do you think the increase in day trading activity following the lockdown is something that will stay, or do you expect it to go back to pre-COVID levels?
Nah, it's already gone back to pre-COVID levels. It was elevated for a month or two, but like the last few weeks have been relatively quiet. And I think that there's one effect where people are just bored and trading more, and I think that is a real effect. And I think you're really seeing that with like the Hertz stock day trading and stuff like that. But also like it's sort of people have less money that's going to decrease volumes. And overall, I think we've seen like definitely an increase short term, but I think long term, if anything, a decrease.
Thank you. Does anyone want to comment on that? No? Okay. Right.
I think if you compare the trading volume to the pre-COVID in terms of how you define it, I think if you compare it to, let's say, like in 2018 or 2017, definitely the level of trading volume is definitely much bigger. So my view is that it's coming back on the trajectory of gradual growth, and not necessarily going back to the level of, let's say, 2018 or 17. Definitely no. In terms of Bitcoin, I mean, if you look at USDT and other altcoins like Beach, and also since Kevin is here, I think the level of trading volume is much bigger, relative to previous years.
Right. But with the population's money gradually depreciate, do you think people are starting to see crypto as a viable solution to this problem?
I think maybe there's been some murmurs of it in some places. I haven't seen like a super strong effect of that. I think it's been pretty muted, and like the world just hasn't been talking about crypto. The world's been talking about like, economic crashes and COVID and protests and a lot of other things that are sort of like, really monopolizing the world's attention right now. I think internet money is not one of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it will, in the long term, be beneficial to crypto and something. I think the repercussions are overall what's going to happen now. A lot of countries have noticed, a lot of economies have noticed they need to be like, there's a lot of talk about self-sustainability, protectionism, and so on. So you're going to have trade levels and trade being obstructed to some degree. And then this is going to be an opportunity for crypto, I think, not now. So I think long term, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Nick. So the next question, when it became clear that all of us would be in lockdown and it caused an unanticipated rush and surge of online orders for pretty much everything, but it has caused suppliers, large and small, unprepared. The COVID-19 crisis has revealed a general lack of connectivity and data exchange built into our global supply chains. And VeChain, as one of the most recognized blockchain platform globally, to tackle some of the biggest issues that affect supply chain management and business processes. Kevin, how has this social phenomena shifted supply chain management?
Yeah, I think the COVID-19 really changed consumer behavior. Although even if in China, people are already very used to mobile payment and ordering everything online. But during the COVID-19 period, actually, the Chinese food e-commerce side actually also saw a 45% increase in terms of daily active user compared to before the period before COVID-19. So, and people are more obviously more care. They really care a lot more about the food or the products they are getting. They want higher level of transparency. They want this. They want the level of trust about the things they are getting. So in general, actually, we have seen the increase of the types of products available online, and also the increase of confidence in the online shopping, because a lot of digitization solution has been applied to allow consumers to directly interact with the product. They can get the information at the product level instead of the brand level. So that's why actually a lot of the company are working with blockchain providers like like VeChain to help them to demonstrate the information they would like their consumers to see, the merits about their products, and also because of blockchain, they can add additional level of trust. And we are also working with those certification company like DMVGL, so that not only the data is on the blockchain, which is immutable, and also you have additional layer of trust because the data on the blockchain was actually certified by a trusted third party. And also we have seen an increasing preference for health and safety about the products, than just people actually care more about that part over the price and utility of the products. So definitely the increased digitization of the supply chain management, and also the enterprises want like a better digital platform for multiple party collaboration, data exchange, and data sharing. So blockchain is going to play a very important part in this.
Thank you for the insights, Kevin. The future resilience will depend on building transparent and connected networks. And with over 4 trillion consumer products made and shipped around the world each year, we can't afford to continue to operating in the dark when it comes to keeping track of these products. So various technologies are being deployed to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Do you think COVID-19 makes a compelling case for the wider integration of blockchain? And what is an example?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, definitely because of the digitalization, blockchain it's not the only solution, but will definitely one of the cornerstone of the digitalization solutions. So the examples are definitely food safety, like we mentioned a few times already, and also in the healthcare or pharma industry. Like we are working with Bayer China for their clinical trial medicine. To make sure that those medicines are well traced, and also all the data, clinical trial data, is properly secured and shared among authorized parties. And also sustainability is also another key focus. With this virus situation, people want to know that the products are made from sustainable materials or ingredients. So yeah, we will definitely see a wider adoption of blockchain in people's daily life, and we'll see a lot more industries other than just food safety or farmer to adopt blockchains in the future.
Thank you, Kevin. Nick, what's your view on the wider integration of blockchain because of COVID-19?
Well, basically, yeah, going back to what I said before, my comments were actually related to crypto, but obviously the same applies to blockchain. I think blockchain had a good momentum as well. I think even from perspective of the general audience, and as I said, we're mainstream media, so we do like first with this crypto boom, right, when everyone was noticing what's Bitcoin and so on, and then blockchain kind of came. Blockchain came underlying and overcoming this somehow, and then it will have a huge impact in the future. And as I said, again, this crisis, like everything else, will speed up digitalization and speed up the blockchain, projects and solutions and alternatives. So it's only positive. I think it's going to get faster and better. And as I said before, the filter here will filter out a lot of bad things that were there in the beginning, and hopefully will support exactly what Karen was talking about, the supply chain. That's obviously one of the use cases I think where blockchain is most applicable and most useful. So it will actually help blockchain come out of this the crypto sphere, or the association with the just finance market that you can have, right?
Right, that's very interesting. Jose, do you have any thoughts on that?
Right. So blockchain in Japan tends to be discussed in the context of fintech and payment solutions. and less so in the context of supply chain management. And I think I think Japan has historically been known for having a good infrastructure for supply chain. So I don't think there was an immediate need for the Japanese industries to adopt blockchain in that regard. But I think this COVID-19 has exposed the problem of tracking infections amongst young people or people, the businessmen who go to, let's say, nightclubs, and they are very reluctant to expose their behaviors. So I think really taking blockchain and cryptocurrency together, and technologies like zero knowledge, proof to sort of how we can track things more clearly whilst guaranteeing that people can, we respect their privacy at the same time. So I think I think this COVID-19 situation has, did sort of reveal areas for improvement for the Japanese society to adopt the blockchain, as well as the crypto nature of it as well.
Right. Thank you, Jose. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, so I think that, one sort of playing off of that theme, I think that one area of the global supply chain, which is actually a pretty important part, is the payment part of it. And, in order for things to function well, I think like payments have to function well. And that's, even during the best of times, it's a pain. Anyone who's tried to send an international wire transfer knows it's way too hard. It's sort of ridiculous how hard it is. Even domestic wire transfers are sometimes a pain. And, I think that that's an area where crypto really shines. And that, as a lot of sort of other players are having a lot of time just moving funds around. And to give sort of one example of this, gold futures traded at a massive premium at one point, like normal, regulated gold futures, because the physical gold bars that underlie them were in one country, and to settle they need to get to another country. And the gold bar driver was busy practicing social distancing, and those gold bars weren't getting there anytime soon. And so you couldn't deliver. There's sort of like massive disruptions in a lot of things. But the blockchain kept going. And so I think that is sort of one area where it's, where it really did shine, is that it's been working 24/7, rain or shine, pandemic or no pandemic, even while the rest of the world, including payment rails, sort of, grind down because of, after effects of the world's, reaction to COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of us, we do think that this pandemic will drive the global adoption of crypto payment. So let's move on to the last question. How will the narrative on crypto in Asia change post this pandemic? And what is in store for crypto once the economy slowly recovers?
So I think one of the most important thing is right now, most of the utility of crypto is in trading, payment, or decentralized finance, which is a little bit far away from the average people. But as the process of digitalization accelerates, people will have more chance to be exposed to blockchain applications. They have the chance to learn about what is blockchain, and definitely the blockchain utility can be more diverse and at a much larger scale if it's exposed to average people. And because a lot of because a blockchain application is built on public blockchain, so at the end of the day, all the transactions happening on blockchain will consume cryptos, which also increase the utility of crypto. And also because those blockchains are run by validators, the validators may need to stake cryptocurrencies, and we are now seeing those traditional enterprises to to participate in blockchain protocols, which means they are also exposed to cryptos. So in general, it's going to definitely through the more diverse blockchain applications, we can see the crypto got more utilities and got more the overall crypto community will grow a lot. And I also agree that Sam was just saying, although blockchain is very useful in the supply chain, but the payment needs to work very well, because even if VeChain focus a lot on the supply chain part of it, but at the end of the day, all the supply chain data on the blockchain need to generate value. So we are also working a lot on adding the financial or the payment part into this like the supply chain management solutions. We are as part of one of the project we did in Australia is using the traceability informations on VeChain. We work with Alipay Australia, so they based on the data on the supply chain data on the VeChain platform, they can provide quicker loans to the supplier. So we hope to see more and more of this kind of use cases and trend to increase the real utility of cryptos in the. I think it's very beneficial to the blockchain space in general.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Jose, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm putting myself back on off mute. I think that I think the supply, as Kevin said, the supply chain management is one big narrative that blockchain is useful, and of course there are other narratives like the fintech and payments, and also the counter-inflation narratives. I think this COVID-19 is making perfect narrative for Bitcoin to exist and also grow in price. The only thing it didn't is that I think the price of Bitcoin hasn't really gone over the 10,000 or 11,000 level. So, but the fact is that it has built enough series of narratives, including the ones that we all discussed today, for Bitcoin to go grow in price. I'll be interested in looking back in a couple of years from now, how people will use the COVID-19 narrative to justify the rising price and the usage of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. It's definitely is going to be used as a very big excuse that this is the reason that Bitcoin has increased in price.
Thank you, Jose. Nick, what do you think about what's in store for crypto in Asia from now?
Good question. I don't want to. I've heard in the talk before there was throwing around some predictions on like a 50K price on Bitcoin, and I think that's way too bullish. I heard those predictions years ago as well. So I'm trying to be wary. I think something that we're forgetting is the steady moving in and catching up with the regulators with the overall situation, regardless of COVID. So I think if that's done right, it can be very, very important. And actually, some Asian regulators have been obviously very, very active in some of the countries that maybe traditionally in finance you wouldn't expect to be at the forefront of innovation, perhaps, have moved really well with their digital currencies and so on. So Cambodia is one place that comes to mind, Thailand as well, Philippines. So again, countries that you wouldn't associate with finance centers, doesn't exclude them though. And that's the beauty of technology and the beauty of leapfrogging. So I think Asia, according to the recent book, The Future is Asian, I think so will happen for crypto. But overall, globally, it will obviously help. I think it will speed up. I think quality comes on top overall in the long term, right? So we're looking forward to this. So I'm very positive, especially even more positive for Asia than elsewhere. As I said, it's going to be interesting to observe these two aspects where at one point we obviously, on a macro perspective, we're still in an interconnected, obviously globalized world, but then countries are somehow now being more aware and more kind of trying to be more prepared for situations like this. So there are two opposite forces that will somehow meet and even work together. So it's a very interesting point. I wouldn't throw around predictions, but I'm overall positive.
Thank you, Nick. Sam, do you want to comment on this question?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is just that like crypto survived it. Not every industry is going to really survive this intact, but crypto did. And I think it wasn't obvious it would on March 12th. There's a pretty bleak, 12 hours or so there. But I think that over the last few months, we've seen sort of that, it's part of the narrative just be like, things are okay, crypto is going to make it. This is bad for the world, but crypto is still going to be there. You're seeing valuations recovering, prices recovering. People are starting to talk more normally about crypto. Within crypto, the sort of shock of March 12th has worn off a lot, and so I think that's sort of one of the biggest narratives here.
Thank you so much, Sam, Jose, Kevin, and Nick for your insights into the post-COVID-19 crypto space in Asia. And for those viewing out there, don't forget to like and share #BlockDown 2020. Thank you so much, everyone.